We go.
Yes. There we
Okay.
go. Thank you.
Well, welcome to those of you who are here on time. Welcome. I'm sure there are lots of other people will come in over the next few minutes anyway, but rather than keep you waiting, thank you for being on time. That's fantastic. We'll get stuck in. Hopefully, this is going to be very informative and interesting and be of assistance to you in entering GoldPAC. I know that we may have, if we don't already have any, but we may have a couple of our one-year diploma students joining us. I hope they also realize that this is about the commercial GoldPAC and not their one-year diploma assignment, which is confusingly called the student GoldPAC competition or program. But anyway, we're here to talk about the main GoldPAC and hopefully give you some very interesting tips and ideas and inspire you as to what you've got in your portfolio already and what can make a fantastic entry for you in GoldPAC this year. So first of all, a commercial break. Thank you to our sponsors. Some of these are a wish list. I'm still negotiating with a couple of these people, but certainly everyone you see on my screen traditionally has supported GoldPAC. And honestly, without their support, we would not be able to do GoldPAC. That's not just a flippant statement. The cost of doing GoldPAC and organizing the judging and everything else is extremely expensive. And with the support of people like you see on the screen, we can do this. There's another reason for showing you this list of our sponsors is to show you the importance that the industry and major players in the industry, the importance that they place on GoldPAC. That they see it as a valuable contribution and a genuine flagship and a showcase for excellence in packaging in South Africa and in Africa. Everything we present, yeah, go, Vanessa. You talk.
Sorry, I was going to jump in and just say, yeah, everything we're presenting this afternoon, a video recording of today's session, and all the other information that you'll need, including we're going to take you through how the online entry form works, is all found on our website, and the address is up on the screen now. So that really is your most important web address to keep for all things GoldPAC related.
Because, of course, that's where the entries are done online. And there's a lot of information, not only the rules and regulations and eligibility about GoldPAC, but we also have put on there some tips. There's even an example of an entry, a hypothetical entry that sort of might spur you on with some ideas. And, of course, all the previous winners and everything hopefully is there, plus contact details for Vanessa and I if you do need to contact us and query anything or you're worried about something as we go on. So what are we going to talk about today? Of course, we'll start off with what's the need for GoldPAC? Why do we have GoldPAC? What does GoldPAC mean to you? Vanessa, you...
Then go through the judges panel to give you an idea of who our judges are for this year's competition. We've had a few changes.
And then we'll talk about the judging process itself to give you some idea. That's the idea is to give you an insight into what they are going to do and might help you in selecting and putting together your entry.
Yeah, and then we're going to take you through, as we work through the whole presentation, tips of how you select your best entries, which ones have got the greatest chance of succeeding.
And how to present them, how best to give that information to us and to present it for the judges.
And then it's almost like a tutorial session this afternoon on the online entry form. So the type of information you're going to need in each of the fields, how the online entry form works. It can be quite daunting when you go on for the first time if you haven't entered previously. So we wanted to be able to literally take you through screen by screen and show you how to enter.
There's a lot of information there, but hopefully we'll get to it and we'll get quite tight and clear about it all. So we start off with why GoldPAC? Well, obviously, it's all about industry recognition and credibility within our industry, for the industry, to people outside of the industry and people inside the industry, recognizing their peers and other people, setting the benchmark, setting the showcase.
GoldPack also gives you a gateway to international awards, that being the World Packaging Organization's World Star Awards. So all finalists and medal winners that have succeeded in GoldPack are eligible to enter the World Star Awards. That's something you can look up on the worldstar.org website, or it's part of World Packaging Organization, as we said, but it really is a global showcase competition, and great to give you global exposure for your work.
And winning a GoldPack, of course, can also have a great effect within your own company. It's a team builder. It's for staff and company morale. It sort of rewards and acknowledges the people that are putting in the hard work and creating the magnificent and excellent packaging that we're seeing.
Yeah. GoldPack is also a great opportunity for benchmarking against the best. So it really is a good way of sort of seeing new ideas. You've had new innovations, new technologies, best practices in your business. It's a way of firstly setting a benchmark and also seeing where you stack against those benchmarks.
And we talked about the gateway to international awards, but GoldPack goes beyond the South African borders. We have what we call our Star of Africa, which allows people producing packaging in Africa, anywhere on the continent of Africa, to enter. And of course, so it looks for exports, packaging produced in South Africa, it rewards them. But because of that, it also gets recognition across the whole continent. It gets exposure through various means across the whole of Africa.
We then have a special category recognition, and these come in, and we're going to discuss a number of those areas, but special awards. So it may be something around Save Food, which is a big issue globally and a big issue in South Africa. It may be special awards in terms of recycling of one particular type of material, or addressing the challenges in the waste stream for that material. So we, apart from just our normal category medals that we have in each of the market categories, we have a number of special awards and special area awards, which can give you exposure and tell your story.
And we don't take the duty lightly. We understand that because we're setting ourselves up to be the benchmark and the showcase for packaging in South Africa and in Africa, we have to make sure that our judging process is rigorous and that the judges are respected and that they know what they're doing and that the right sort of pracs and the right sort of acknowledgements are given. So let's talk about who are the judging panel for 2026. There are a few old names there, old being that they've been judging GoldPack for a while, but there are also a number of new people there. The idea of the judging panel is to be as diverse as possible, to recognize all the different disciplines and the aspects and the skills and knowledge and technical ability that is required to put together a pack. We have substrate specialists. We have a food scientist, we have a consumer journalist, we have a specialist, packaging legal brain in the team, and a few new names there. You'll notice that the panel is weighting more and more towards extended producer responsibility. Sustainability, responsible packaging is becoming more and more important. It's a major part of what we should be focusing on. And you see a lot of the judges there are specialists and very knowledgeable in that field as well.
So just having a look at the timeline, as we've tried to publicize quite keenly, is that the entries close earlier than they normally do this year. So please take note of that. Tuesday, the 30th of June is the date that entries close. It's normally towards the end of July. So we've had to bring it a month earlier this year.
Yeah, it's a full month earlier, and that's because our award ceremony is a full month earlier as well, to coincide with ProPack Cape. So what happens then is on the 30th, there's a week or just under a week for us to get the money in. We need to know that you've paid so we can proceed with the whole process. The pack samples need to arrive. They need to be checked and prepared for the judging process. And also on that week of the Monday, the 6th of July, we actually start judging. And the judging process starts with an online scoring process. And this is what happens. What you have submitted into the entry form, which is online, the detail that you had is reconstructed into a document that looks like this. We present it. This is what the judges will be able to see online. The administrative issues on the top left side. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Then the key features, and we're going to talk about those in detail today, your motivation, the photographs of your packs, you see how we can roll on for pages, and then there's additional pages that we can add on. The judges will look at that front page. They all need to look at that, and they look at the photographs, and they will do an initial scoring that's done online just to give a ranking before we get together to discuss it all. You can also, there's opportunity to add a video.
Whoever designed these, whether it's someone in marketing or someone in packaging, I don't know, but give the person a day off. These packaging tubs are awesome.
I couldn't resist putting that in. That was just a bit of fun, a very, very short video. That's not exactly how we are suggesting that you enter. We want to obviously use the video to benefit your packaging, but that was a bit of a humorous approach to it. This is another entry. This entry actually ended up winning the gold trophy in the year it was entered, and it shows you that it can be very cleanly done and to the point about what it was all about. What's interesting is that the real selling point for this came in a video format. So this entrant, they were lucky enough to actually have their client had produced a video for advertising purposes that suited the Gold Pack entry completely. But to be honest, the information that they supplied and that the video supplied was supplied as additional information, as addendums, annexures to the entry as well. Okay, so back to the judging process. So we've closed the entries on the 30th of June. And on the 6th of July, which is that same date that all the other information has to be done, we start the online scoring process. Just about 2 weeks later, we actually convene together all the judges, that list of judges that we've confirmed there, the date's already done, the accommodation's been booked. We will start the judging on Monday, the 20th of July. The judging panel convenes.
I think what's important to add here too, Bill, as you see the pictures coming up of this is when the judges are now physically together in the room. They have all had a chance to go through, they've read your motivations and acquaint themselves with the entries and mull over them. They've sort of got a 2-week period when, depending how early they all start their online scoring, but to think through the entries. So what's put into those entry forms, the pictures you supply, all of that is important, just in whetting the judge's appetite or stimulating their curiosity before we come together in the room. And that's when we really start unpacking, the samples, debating, fighting over our favorite entries.
And promoting it. So what are those judges looking for when they get together there? And what they're looking for is the execution of anything new. Obviously, things that have been entered before, we are not, they're not eligible. But new doesn't mean that it's only been launched in the last few months. It means it's new to Gold Pack. It's bringing the attention of the judges and the industry to something that has been created. And it's innovation and creativity. It's not merely innovation, but it's also the way that's executed. If it's creatively done and it be applied to the design of the pack, both graphically and the format, the shape and form, the way the pack is put together, the design, the marketing of it, it can be the marketing edge of it, the idea that it's actually targeting the concept, what it's trying to make as a point of difference from a marketing point of view, how it's marketing to its target market, to the consumer or to the trade. And of course, technological innovation and creative technology, the way things are applied. And it's applied to packaging in Africa in any form whatsoever. And it can be in the form of packs, it can be in the form of components. So a part of a pack could be entered, but primarily the judges look at the execution of the full pack. And it could even be a process. It could be a manufacturing process or something that's happened in the plant or even in the distribution technology, the way that the pack is applied throughout the supply chain.
Yeah, so now we're going to just talk a little bit about what makes great packaging. Remember, Goldpack is a packaging competition. We're looking at how your concept and your entry presents a packaging that meets all the basic functions of packaging, which we'll take you through shortly. So it's more than just good printing. That's often an important point that we have to make and just remind. This isn't a printing competition. We're looking at your packaging as a whole. On the screen, and we'll unpack some of these. This is what we call the 11 functions of packaging, or we often put them forward as the 11 superpowers of packaging. So each pack should be meeting each of these 11 criteria in some form or other.
So we'll unpack this a little bit. Of course, packaging enables business. Packaging allows us to have a commercial economy, and packaging actually facilitates that. But the basic functions of packaging are to contain and to protect and to preserve. And interestingly enough, we've had entries that are based on the way the pack contains the product, the way the pack protects the product, or the way the pack preserves the product. Each one of these functions could be a reason for entering Goldpack. Don't overlook any of them.
One that's often overlooked is the function of packaging to enable portion. So, and portion control, as well as portion offering. So if you've got a product that you want to get onto the market, you probably want to get it in different convenient sizes to what the market's looking for, from a single serve, perhaps to a family serve, perhaps to a bulk serve. There'll be different sizes of ranges of packs within one product range.
Yeah, exactly, Vanessa. And we've got examples where a pack that has been presented as a single-use format has won some medal, and the other way around. A pack that's not normally available in multi-packs or bulk has won because it's been presented in a new and interesting format. So packaging, of course, the big thing as a packaging designer, this is the one that talks to me, that packaging communicates, educates, informs throughout the supply chain to the consumer. And that throughout the supply chain is often overlooked. It's not just the way it's presented on shelf. Of course, that's a very important aspect of it. But packaging very often has to do a job in the production process. It's got a communication job to do. If you take a shipper carton, for instance, identification in a warehouse, that is an issue. That is how it does that. And that's all the way through the supply chain, how it goes through the till point. And then also a thing that we have to pay attention to now is what job does the packaging need to do, and what does it need to communicate to the waste picker even? Right throughout the supply chain, we're looking at a circular economy, and how does packaging work in that?
And packaging that communicates well, to just build on that, enables an easy flow through that supply chain, because everybody knows how to handle what they're handling and how it should flow through. And that leads into this next point 7, packaging transports and delivers products throughout the supply chain. So, and there are lots of efficiencies that can come in that. Pallet efficiencies, cube, space optimization, warehouse optimization. So the packaging plays a big role in logistics and optimizing logistics in a business.
And how packaging interacts with our lifestyle is very important. This can be things as simple as easy open and reclose. How does it store in the refrigerator or in your cupboard or in your bathroom? How does the pack operate in different environments? How does it combine different products together in a multi-pack? So it's things as simple as an easy grip or a handle on a pack. These are the sort of things that packaging can do to enable a modern lifestyle and a convenient manner of use.
So packaging also motivates purchase and use. And in the past, we used to look mainly just, again, this was an area of graphics and design, and how do you get shelf shout and packs that jump off shelf and grab a consumer's attention. But actually, that's becoming a little bit more three-dimensional, because it's also about the positive or negative experience that a consumer has in interacting, in handling, in opening, in closing, in discarding, and what happens to that pack after they throw it away. All of those are issues that are important to consumers. And we've seen a lot of examples coming up recently through social media, where it can create a lot of talk around your brand, what that consumer interaction was like, and it can motivate purchase or demotivate purchase and use.
And of course, the points of purchase are a very important part in the packaging's life and in that supply chain. So what does the pack look like on a supermarket shelf, for instance? How does it merchandise? How does it compare with its competitors? Has it got special display abilities? Is there a technique or a gimmick that's being used to make it stand out from its competitors? How does it differentiate? And this sort of brings in point of sale type of materials that are aiding and working together with packaging. And how does packaging work? One of the things that comes to mind is retail ready packaging, where the shipper unit converts into a display carton. These are the sort of things that may well score major points in the Gold Pack competition.
And this last point is by no means a last point in terms of a hierarchy. It actually, what we're trying to say is packaging needs to be able to do all of the above while being environmentally and economically sustainable, and both sides. And we've all seen that with legislation, with EPR, with other areas just around packaging being responsible. That's keen. And it also needs to be economically sustainable, affordable. Spending power is less and less, and we've got more and more taking away from consumer spend. And another area we feel quite strongly about is how well is the packaging driving environmental awareness and initiatives, because it can be a powerful tool to do that.
Now, as you say, Vanessa, EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility, is a major talking point at the moment and is a big driver. And this point will probably drive us towards looking to design for recyclability. But it's not only about recyclability, it's about all the aspects about responsible packaging as well. The whole gambit of reuse, reuse, recover. These issues come into play. Obviously, at the moment, the PRO's efforts are very focused on recyclability, and therefore, because of the bend of our judging panel as well, and what is topical, design for recyclability would be a very important issue. So how do you go about selecting your pack? How do you determine whether in your portfolio you're going to have a pack that's a contender?
Yeah, so the first area we'd encourage you to look at is the impact on your business or your customer's business, or on the market. So if you can find something that actually you've got measurable impacts that packaging solution is making, that's going to be a good entry to start working with.
Yeah, so if you've seen something that's already had an impact on you, but then looking at that, have you got something that's involved creative design, some special marketing challenge, or the technology? A challenge is a good key word. Did a challenge need to be overcome? When you come with that, very often you look at it and then, oh, well, it was a simple solution. But actually, the fact that the challenge was identified and met could highlight the fact that your pack could be a contender. Yeah, and so I've sort of said that it's already that has it found a challenge that's had to be met, that to be overcome, and did it turn out well, even if it was a simple solution?
Yeah, you should also be looking at it where you've used innovative or effective research and design on a particular substrate or in a particular process or particular function of the pack. to create something different. So we've got a lot of innovation we're seeing around materials and substrates, monomaterials, to work better in the waste stream. There's also a lot around reducing food waste and technologies and material technology that's coming in, smart packaging, active packaging. So any of those aspects you should look at and you can build on for a motivation.
And this, of course, makes us focus on design for recycling, that if a pack has used a substrate in an innovative and responsible manner and also has improved its ability to be recycled, it's going to make a major selling point that's also very topical at the moment. So it's another place to look for packs within your portfolio that may well be contenders.
Yeah, so what will make your entry stand out? And the important point to share here is in BASIC, the entries are all judged in end-use market categories, and we'll take you through the actual categories in the entry form when we have a look at that in a short while. But it's just to give you the idea or the understanding that when we look at the packs, we're looking at them as they would be on supermarket shelf or in the marketplace. So we're looking at all alcoholic beverages together. We're looking at non-alcoholic beverages. Food goes together, pharmaceutical, personal or healthcare, household products. So you need to think about that you're competing against who else is in that same market category.
So that's in the consumer categories and the specialist categories, such as best in substrate. So if you're doing something slightly different in paper or metal, for example, or your glass process is making a difference, making it part of the standout, we do have the substrate categories as well, that something special has been done using a particular substrate.
The producer responsibility organizations and industry associations such as Packaging SA, we have special awards for them too. Those are sponsored awards where the judges feel there's something interesting that the PROs should be looking at, where for that particular PRO or materials waste stream, where something special, unique, different, excellent has been done. And those awards are made.
Yeah, those criteria set by the PROs. So the different PROs who are sponsoring the awards will actually choose and select the entries that meet their criteria the best. And then I've mentioned already about we have the Star of Africa, which is in two parts. Packs produced in South Africa that are intended for export into Africa. They might be used in South Africa, but they also exported to some African countries. And also then packs that are converted on the continent somewhere outside of South Africa for use anywhere in the continent or even exported off the continent. So we're looking for packaging produced anywhere in Africa. It's capable or eligible for winning an award.
We then also have special judges awards, and this is where the judges sort of sit at the end of the judging process and look at things together that stood out for the judges. And these could be things like packaging that saves food, minimizes food waste, or keeps food safe throughout the supply chain. They also might be, last year, you might remember we had a number of awards around localization, which was special judges awards, appreciating where something had been, imports had been replaced by local technology and even just local thinking. We also last year had an influencer award, for instance, because we recognize that influencers in social media, TikTok, that whole form of marketing, packaging is becoming more and more a tool that can make a difference to influencers. So the judges will, in judging, pick out things that particularly stand out and should be given more exposure.
And the point of going through all of these is to encourage you to expand on the creative and technical superiority of your entry, be it the materials, the manufacturing process, how it's converted, how it's filled, how it displays, how it interacts with the consumer. Each one of these things, we look at all these aspects of it. So that gives you a multitude of different topics to address that maybe could make your pack stand out. It's really emphasizing the point of this is not just about printing, and it's not just about the technology of putting a pack together. It's the whole gambit. It's a very diverse and complex field of what involves packaging.
Yeah.
And we've highlighted this bit about imports only because it seems to have become very important to the judges. And Vanessa and I felt it was just something to highlight, to say that there's a growing trend of judges being very impressed when the converter or the entrant has been able to say, and this replaced imported packaging. That's a major little bonus point marker. And we thought we should add in here, and we found a place for it here. So we get into the admin side of it now. I'll take you through this. This is when you go into the website and you click on enter here. When you first time register, you register as a new user. You select your password. You'll be sent an email that you get a code just to confirm that you're not a machine and that you are a real person. And then you'll get next time the website will remember your email address, and you must just have the password. If you forget your password, the website will send you the password. So when you get through that process, you get this, which when you first start, you won't have anything there. It'll be blank borders like this. You can create a new entry, and it'll create a new entry reference for you. And you go into edit on the right-hand side there. You click edit, and it'll open up the entry form. And it starts off with the really boring admin stuff. What does happen in the companies, we do understand, is someone might be delegated or nominated to do the GoldPack entries. We will comment about who that person is and what support they have later on. But here, this is for the person who's going to be the contact for this entry. Who do we contact if we have any queries? The company name of the person who's submitting the entry. This is not necessarily the same as the entrant, okay? But it's the person submitting the entry. What's their company name? How do we contact them? What's their telephone number? And then if there's a member's discount, if you will note that as members of the Institute get enormous discounts for their entry, which actually amount to the annual subscription fee for a member. So if you're not a member or you don't have anyone in your company who is a member of the Institute, it's worthwhile joining and then entering the GoldPack, because you'll save that subscription straight away on your first entry, and then you'll save more money on your second and third and fourth entries. So there's a process here of claiming that institute. The computer, the website checks it out. It needs the email address as registered with us and or the membership number. If you have any difficulty, you contact me or Vanessa, and we'll be able to tell you what these details are. Then we get into the name of the pack. And here we ask for it to be done a very short, quick way to identify the pack. A long story about what the pack is all about is unmanageable in the awards presentation, in the GoldPack brochure, in publicity about it. We're looking for a short name for the pack that's been entered. And then you enter, and who's entering it is the big thing. What you enter here, the company name or the companies, because it can be joint entries, that you enter into this block should be done in exactly the way you want it to be printed in the winner's brochure, on the certificate, in any publicity that we create. Please be accurate from the beginning, because it actually costs money and takes up time to actually put it in later. So you put in whoever the entrants are. And the entrants can be anybody. It can be the converter, can be the brand owner. It could even be the designer of the pack, or any of the people involved with producing the pack, the sales agent. It can be a retailer. That would be the person who the award is awarded to. But you'll see later on, we want other people to be acknowledged. But who's the person who decided to enter this pack is claiming to say, look at this pack, it's great. And then, of course, whoever that is, if the person who's been delegated to fill in the form is not the same person who has the authority to say, yes, we will enter it, we need that person's name and the date of it, just for legal purposes. So that's the really boring thing. Now we get on to what the declarations are. I mentioned that it doesn't matter who the entrant is. It can be absolutely anybody. But there are some people that have to be, we do have to know who they are. This is, first of all, by agreement with Packaging SA. The directors of Packaging SA, representing the industry, have said this is an agreed way we're going to enter Goldpack, but it's also from a legal point of view that we know that we've got the approval of the people who own the brand names and the people who own the technology that we can do it. So we first of all start with the packaging converters. If they're not based in South Africa, we need to know where they are. The converters, the people who make the different packaging components. So if you're entering a whole shampoo bottle, we need to know who blew the bottle, who printed or created the label, who did the closure. We need all of those people. The award, the Goldpack Award, the medal will be awarded to whoever you name as the entrant. But we do need to know and declare all the packaging converters. As I say, this is an industry-wide agreement that we've done. So we have the packaging converters listed, separated with forward strokes or commas. Then we need the converters, the person from each converter, the name of the person who has the authority to say, yes, you may enter it. And we do, when we are unsure, we contact this person to say, are you aware of this entry? And we have had occasions where people say, what? We've heard nothing about it. So please, we appeal to people to actually check with them beforehand or alert them to the fact that you plan to enter. And then, of course, we need their email address to contact them. The same thing applies to the brand owner. Normally, it's just one brand owner involved, but there have been cases with more than one, whoever's using the pack, and we need them to be acknowledged as well. As I say, the award will be given to whoever is the entrant, but the brand owners will be acknowledged in some way. And if that's where is the country that brand is sold commercially? Is it just South Africa, or is it in other countries as well? And then the brand owner user position, they put their name and their email address. Right, so that's the admin side. Vanessa, you can talk us through consumer categories.
Categories, yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, the entries are split according to consumer or end-use market categories. And you'll tick one of these boxes. But what's important to say to you is that these are further split, as I said earlier. So beverages, we just get way too many entries of in food. So we split that further into beverages would be alcoholic, non-alcoholic beverages. Food, we split into normally perishable and non-perishable foods. But depending on what's coming through, at times we actually even split these down further if we have a number of entries that are all kind of pushing towards one area of those broader markets. Household, that includes domestic goods, hardware, appliances, household cleaning products, automotive products. Again, that sometimes gets split out. Health, beauty, medical and pharmaceutical. That's also all your personal care. Packaging comes under that category. The next one is transit, secondary packaging, industrial electronics and appliances. Again, we've actually seen that area has grown. There've been a lot of transit packaging solutions that have come through and getting, automotive parts exported across the world. So those would come, and even sometimes just small aspects. So within the secondary packaging, anti-slip coatings to make pallets more stable, or corner strengthening devices on a pallet load that's built into the design of boxes. Those would come under there. And then another area that's growing, I think because people often tick this box as one of the easier, it's a bit like an other, but packaging related, including components, material, machinery, processes, supplies, point of sale displays. So again, and if you look at the results over the past couple of years, you'll see how we have in certain areas split out these categories to make more market-focused categories. The judges will do this, so don't worry too much if you've clicked a wrong category, because we look at it on the judging table. We look at where you felt it needed to be at first. But then as a judging group, we look at where the pack will actually work best and where it will do its best, where you have, the best chance that it suits the needs of that market. But I don't know if you've got anything to add.
Yes, I have. I've already had a query this year about the packaging related category where someone said, I only want to enter the label. I don't want any other part of the pack to be entered. Well, that is possible. You enter it as packaging related as the label by itself. What you're doing, of course, is you eliminating the opportunity for the judges to evaluate the entire pack's efficiency and creativity as a whole pack. They're just going to look at the label. And in the diversity of Gold Pack, that actually takes out a whole lot of the criteria that may be selling points for your pack, that may give your pack an advantage. But there are issues, we do understand, where there's just something that's happened on the label, and the label only from a technical point of view or converting point of view, that's what's valid, and that the entrant doesn't want any other aspect of the pack to be examined or evaluated as a part of the entry. And then the other one that I've had a query on already this year is about point of sale. Point of sale displays are included in the Gold Pack. It's something that is integral to packaging and the way packaging operates at the point of purchase. So thanks, Vanessa, for highlighting that. Then we move on to the substrate categories. And that's the same way as the consumer categories, and the opportunity exists. You can win best in food and best in paper or board. It is possible to win both. They are judged separately. The fact that we give a food award, it doesn't mean that it doesn't qualify for any substrate award. Every entry gets judged on both of these, from a consumer category, for want of a better word, to the substrate categories. Every entry gets judged on both. And in the same way, we can split these up. There are only 4 shown here, but it is quite possible for us to separate paper and board into rigid board and paper sacks or whatever, depending on what has been submitted. Year after year, we do find that we split rigid plastics and flexible plastics because there are just so many of each of them. And then, of course, glass and metal as substrate categories.
Yeah. We then have, as we spoke earlier, the Star of Africa Award. So, and there are 2 categories within that you'll tick or choose if you're going for a Star of Africa Award. So the first is for packaging that's been produced in Africa, but outside of South Africa. And the second category is the entries that are produced in South Africa and are exported to an African country, so exported across the continent. And those are the two entry categories that are eligible for the Star of Africa Award.
So those are boxes that you tick on the entry form. We're still on the online entry form. And now we get to one of the key parts of the entry form. And that is our key features for the entry. And this is, of course, a mandatory field. And you've only got 50 words. So in the communication hierarchy, in the motivation hierarchy, this is like the headline. This you wanting to entice and appeal to the judges and state what the key issue is of your entry. What's it all about? You don't need the absolute detail broken down, but what is your entry all about? What's motivated you to make this entry? As I say, 50 words is not a lot, but this is the headline. This is what you would probably want to put into the winner's brochure, just outlining what is this entry all about? What's the motivation? What's the push, the selling point? And you're trying to entice and get the judges and everybody else to be interested in your pack. So sorry, I jumped ahead here talking about the motivation. This is the headline. This is the attention grabber. What's the key standout feature of the entry? This is your opportunity to highlight to the judges what you think the winner's brochure should feature. And what's your differentiator? What makes your pack and your entry different from others, the competitors or others that are similar on the market? And you don't need to put the detail in here. You have the opportunity, the expanded motivation that Vanessa will talk about now, the expanded motivation behind your entry, you will have the opportunity for it. This is the key attention grabber that you're trying to do within those few words that you have. And consider the consumer category and the substrate type. What's the differentiator in that category? What's the differentiator in the substrate to make it competitive or set it up for your competitive advantage? What's the market differentiator? What's unique? What's innovative about it? Are you leading the market in this particular category? This is where you're teasing the judges. Save your detail for the expanded motivation.
Yeah. Then there's a second area, then further down on that screen, you'll have the area of your 50 words, which we've just looked at. And now you'll see you're given an area of up to 300 words that you can type in. And this is where you expand your motivation and start supporting your claims or building the story, building the case study. So in the motivation hierarchy, you've grabbed the judge's attention, and how do you now kind of whet their appetite a little bit more? So you're going to expand and explain your entry's features. And we really encourage you to make this section as factual and informative as possible. And this is a way to show real pride and passion in your entry, to share the measurable impacts. And we can't stress this fact enough. We don't want just loose words, but if you're actually able to show the measurable impact on your business of that packaging solution, and there's a whole list there of areas: savings, efficiencies, market growth, market share gains, profitability, the environmental impact, sustainability gains, shelf life impact, and there may be some others. We really hope that out of these slides that we're giving you, and when you get the copy of the presentation and the video recording, use these as checklists when you're coming to this 300-word motivation. These are things to check back against. Have you covered each of these points in each of these areas?
An important point to highlight here is that you may opt to declare that the information you supply is not for publication. That means that only the judges will get to see it, and it won't be used anywhere else. So if you have confidential company corporate information, it can be shared with the judges, but it won't be shared anywhere else. You should be able to trust the judges. The judges are selected for their integrity, and plus they also agreed not to disclose any information that is revealed to them or any discussions that are held in the judging process. Whatever information you supply that you identify as not for publication, we will honor that, and we will not publish it in any form whatsoever. So this part of the entry form, the 300 words, is where you're building the case study, your entry as a winner. The sort of things you could be looking to enter into this evidence that there was teamwork, what teamwork was required to create your solution. The team being the entrant company, plus who else in the value chain was involved in creating the solution. Who was involved? The brand owner, design agency, converter, raw material supplier. These are not weaknesses. These are strengths, showing how much thought and how much effort went into meeting the challenge that was presented by your pack. And here also, every entry virtually is a replacing an old one, where some improvements have been made. So show us the old versus the new. Show us what the improvements have all been through samples that you supplied us, or it could just be the pictures. What's the difference from old to new in terms of savings and market impact? As I say, we're building a case study here. When it comes to promotional packs, we're wanting to see what's your regular pack and what's the promotional pack. What's the difference between the two? We very often get given a promotional pack without knowing what the mother pack looked like, to see what was the very clever way that the promotion was introduced onto that primary pack to make it something different, to upgrade or to make the standard pack be enhanced to offer the promotional offering. And then, of course, the marketing statistics that your entry has now done. What positives happened in the market with the application or the introduction of your packaging entry?
Yeah, so you want to also consider the entire supply chain that your pack is flowing through. So right from pack creation, the idea creation, through to conversion of that pack. So that will be in the converters plant, distribution through to manufacturing and filling that pack, right to the end consumer. And as we said, right up front to the waste picker, the waste stream, what's happening. So you need to, again, use this as a checklist and think of how your pack flows throughout that chain. And in Bill's slide previously, we said use that team approach. So get feedback from the waste stream, get feedback where you can from retailers, from consumers, from the converter. What makes packaging quite magical and a packaging solution so different and interesting is it's a multi-faceted, multi-company, multi-dimensional solution. So the more you can build the perspective from everybody throughout that supply chain, the better. And again, that second point, again, hopefully you can see we keep saying motivate the impact, the detail of the impact, measurable facts and figures where you can include those.
So it's quite a lot to ask for a 300-word motivation. You're going to find it tough. But wait, there is a solution. There is a way out. So you have to think about what you're going to put into the 300 words to create the scene, to build the case study. The support for your case study, there is a place for it if there's information that needs to be supplied. And part of that, of course, is the pack visuals. So we need at least 2 different images. It's amazing how often we do just get one that's duplicated. This is your opportunity to really show the pack off, to highlight, to make sure that the judges are looking at the right thing on your pack. So if there's a feature, easy open feature on your pack, you show the whole pack and then a close-up of the easy open feature or whatever the feature is. If it's something to do with the inside of the bottle, well, you want to cut open the bottle and show us what the inside looks like. Of course, we're going to get the samples as well, but don't forget that the judges are judging, first of all, online, just to create a familiarity and an awareness of what the pack is all about. So you're talking to the judge in the luxury of their own home or at their own office desk. And then, of course, when they get together as a team, they will have their own knowledge already that they're bringing to the table from pre-looking at it. So that's where the pack visual has a role. They'll be dying to get together to touch and look at the packs. So don't underestimate the importance of photographs, because they're not only presenting your entry in the best possible way, it can help support and motivate your entry, and using those photographs to feature the benefits of the pack. And also here's your opportunity to show the before and after of your packs as well. And you can consider showing a photograph of the packs on shelf. In-store examples, the point of purchase. You can't take the judges into the stores, but you can take a store to them by taking a shelf shot of how your pack stands out on shelf. It can be a very powerful motivator. And then I spoke about there is a way out to give additional information, which Vanessa can talk to.
Yeah, so this is, you'll see that the block with drop files to upload. This is where you can upload PDFs, further pictures, or anything that's related. Often we get sort of technical spec sheets that are needed. And this is the kind of information you must. Don't put anything into this block or upload anything if you haven't mentioned it in your 300 words, because you want to be sure that you point the judges to. So you might highlight a key feature and be able to say, but for more information or to understand the context behind this, please look at our technical support documents that have been uploaded with this motivation. So in our motivation hierarchy, this is where if judges are that interested in an entry, they'll dig further. Or if they're questioning an entry, it's an area that you can substantiate the claims that you're making upfront in your 300-word motivation. So it's an important area to use properly.
Very often, if this information is not supplied as a part of the entry, I end up phoning the entrant and saying, okay, support, you've made this claim, support it. So this is the opportunity to make it available to us. So I think it's important to note that the judges look at that first page. They'll look at the first paragraph, the headline of the motivational hierarchy, that attention grabber, the 300 words. let me tell you, they don't only read it, they have it read to them. So in that judging process, I sit and that's why I have to be the impartial facilitator. I read that 300 word motivation to them on it. And when they start talking amongst themselves, I start talking very loudly. Vanessa will know that I end up shouting at them to make them listen to me, to see that first the headline story and then the 300 words. The rest of it, it's up to the judges to start paging through. They get given everything in hard copy in a big thick file, and this motivational background and technical support is in the file, and they start paging through it, and they look for it, and they read to each other what they're seeing in this document.
Yeah.
So this is where your detail comes in. You detail, okay, here we've said local input, because not everything can be created in South Africa. We know things are created in countries such as Europe and the East, and even on occasion in Australia. We know that maybe something has originated there, but how has it been applied to South Africa, to South African or African conditions? How have you mastered the application of the imported knowledge and technology, which in most cases is what we are doing? So we're not shying away from it, but this is your opportunity to explain what was required.
You also may want to use this area to really highlight design features that have improved something in your pack. So this might be usability, and use this. You can use a mixture of what you write and pictures and even your samples to do this. Encourage in your write-up, encourage the judges to test the opening, test the closing. To tell you, when we judge and when we're together, we do a lot of that. If a claim or something has been made about the strength or the crush resistance of a pack, we've got judges that'll jump on that pack, give it the force required to really test that strength. The Castle Light example we saw earlier of the cooler box, we tested that with ice, left it overnight to actually see how long it would last, way beyond
it would when soggy, yeah.
It was made. But those are the things we do. And another thing that's important, so you might have a great design feature, a new easy open feature, ease of recycling feature, ease of sort of disposing of something in the waste stream. But unless you're communicating this to consumers, that's something the judges are aware about. We kind of say it's great to tell us, but does the consumer know that? And is it making a difference in a consumer's life?
And then this is something new for us, is videos. We're getting more and more entries where a video has been introduced, and we have now created a special place that is video friendly in virtually all video formats. You can just drag and drop it in there, or click and select the video and upload it to us. We're suggesting that you make it only about 2 minutes long, because we don't have a lot of time. We don't have time to watch a 30-minute video, but a short, sharp, to the point video of 2 minutes would work. Will it aid your message? Include pictures and videos to motivate your benefits and positive impacts you put forward in your motivation where relevant. So that's what we're saying here, is if your video is supporting your motivation, it's applicable to us. It's not just a video for video's sake. Just chucking it in because you happen to have a video that's a detailing aid of your particular technology is actually just not really going to help the motivation. If anything, it might be an irritant. But a well thought out video done well, that's to the point, could be a major influencer for you. So think about it before you put the video in.
Good. Do you want me to chat
yes,
to the?
If you can talk about the pack
sample,
sample, what's required.
Yeah. So here on screen, you can see, and you'll find that in the entry form, that we're looking for 2 empty packs and 4 filled packs, 4 filled samples of each entry. And that makes a big difference. There are years when we've actually just received empty packs and you're unable to really see how the pack is functioning as it should be functioning as a filled pack. So that's important. The judges sit around that table. Hopefully you saw in the photographs, not even where sometimes we're standing, walking to the entries, but we handle and examine the packs closely. And we've put a point there to say, have you, often we get samples that have got scuff lines, the printing's out of register, glue, the gluing flap has gone over key communication on pack. So make sure your samples that you submit are good ones, and have a look at that. There are 12 people in the room for judging. So if you send more samples, we've got a sort of basic requirement of those 2 empty and 4 filled, but extra samples help. They just spread it across the table, and each judge then gets a chance to actually interact with your pack and understand what you're motivating. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, if the pack is an improvement, so this old versus new thing is coming up again, if you can supply that before pack, it makes a huge difference. But definitely also label what's the before pack and what's the new pack that you're submitting, because often that confuses the judges.
I only put it in red because I remember last year we did have the problem. We spent 5 minutes judging the old pack, and then went, hang on, this is the old pack.
Yeah.
So I put it in red.
Label that for us so that we know. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, the pack samples are assisting your motivation, evaluating your motivation and the features. So also, if you can, highlight those features, have a little tag with a sticky note or something that's not a sticker that's going to impact the actual sample and cause a problem if you take that label off, but a sticky note, or again, the picture of your sample and what features the judges should be looking at when they're handling the sample.
Right, and now we're at the end of the entry form. The very last thing is really just a teaser for you, and Vanessa mentioned it earlier, that the Gold Pack Awards are the gateway to the WPO World Stars. You cannot enter the WPO World Stars entries unless you have won one of the registered packaging competitions around the world. And in this part of the world, the only one that you have is Gold Pack. Gold Pack is the only qualifying competition that will get you entry into the WPO World Stars. It's an easy process to enter, but it is an expensive one. Getting a World Star entry, of course, because you're paying in our poor South African rand and they're setting it up in euros. We are appealing to them to give us a special dispensation, to give us a cheaper way of entry. Vanessa will be arguing with them in 2 weeks' time, trying to persuade them for that. But in the meantime, that's what it is. But the World Stars, we have many South African entries that have gone on to win World Star Awards, and they use it as a part of their promotional ability, both locally and internationally. And this is no commitment. All I'm doing is saying I'm making you aware that that's it. You tick yes, I will make sure I communicate with you about winning, entering the World Stars. And if you've done particularly well, even if you tick no, I'll be contacting you to say, why don't you enter the World Stars? You've got a good chance of doing something there. So that's the end of the entry form. We get down to the bottom of the entry form and you want to submit your entry form, and you find that it doesn't have a submit button. It only has a save, a delete your entry, or return to the entry list up to the beginning. And if you have this, that's because there's some red text below. And this red text is identifying the fact that in this case, the email address of the brand owner's representative is not there. So if there's any red text, you will not be able to submit your entry. There are mandatory fields that you have to put in some text. And once you put in all the text and that red text has disappeared, the submit entry button will appear and you can submit as complete. Once you submit the entry as complete, you will then get back to the entry form and you'll see that the one dummy entry I put in there has been submitted as complete, and there's the entry fee based on that entry. The other entries are in draft, so there is no entry fee there yet. So you actually need to submit all your entries before it'll generate the total entry fee, giving you what the total entry fee amount is there. It indicates what discounts you apply for in terms of the membership, and multiple entries give you discount. And you can go there at the bottom and you can do two things. You can generate your own invoice and you can make the online payment. You can click and pay online with a credit card or an EFT if you want to do the online payment, or you generate the invoice and submit it to your accounts department for them to make the payment. When you click on generate invoice, you actually fill in the billing details yourself. who you're billing, because it may not be, if there are multiple entrants, it may be someone else. So there's the company name, there's your address, you put your VAT number in, and it'll also give you a list of the entries that you have submitted as complete, and you can tick which one of your entries you want included on this invoice. You click generate invoice, and you'll be able to then see what the invoice looks like. If you're unhappy with what the invoice looks like, you could go back again and fill this form in again, and it's generate another invoice. It'll have the same invoice number, and it'll do it again and again and again until you're happy with the invoice. And you can then print the invoice and keep it. Here you see that's actually generated the invoice number. It tells you what the invoice number is on the form, and you've got a button to update that invoice if you wish to create the invoice. So you can get the invoice as soon as you have completed and submitted your entries. If you do decide you're going to pay online, you're wanting to pay with a credit card, for instance, it'll take you to the PayFast portal, and that is their portal, a very secure South African-based online payment system, and you can use any of the local credit cards and payment processors, and even an instant EFT will give you access into most of the major banks, and you can do an EFT from your bank account if you have access into that. Yeah. So here we finish off with a couple of no-nos for you, Vanessa.
Yeah, so before we go to questions, answers, this is almost just like a summary for you of be careful, what to be careful of. So should go without saying, false claims and statements. We're looking at responsible packaging. We're looking at responsible entries that come through. And if any false claims or statements are made in your motivation, or even sometimes these are made on pack communication, things that may fall into the greenwashing area, or claims that are made that, fall into sort of food labeling legislation and fall on the wrong side of that. Those will be a no-no, and those packs are thrown off the table before judging even really commences with them, before the judges get going.
Yeah, I remind you about the diversity of the judges from various industries, various technologies, technical experts, and lawyers and food scientists, and even the legal people and the consumer journalists. They can't be fooled. They will pick it up. And of course, a big issue is unwise packaging choices. Vanessa mentioned again just now, irresponsible packaging specifications, particularly when it comes to extended producer responsibility. The circular economy is a big issue. Legality and just consumer awareness and consumer responsibility are the big issues of the day.
And then just when we come to poor samples and a poorly written motivation, these 2 points, that is really just something that shows pride in what you're putting forward. And the judges look for that. If we see samples that are, as I said earlier, printers out of register, or they're scuffed, or actually often the samples have failed by the time they've got to the judging table, and they failed to protect the product or preserve the product, that just makes the judges feel you haven't given the time to really think about your entry and make sure you put your best foot forward. And why do they deserve to take judges' attention and time? And again, this comes to the motivation too. So things that happen in a poorly written motivation, basics of spelling errors and grammars. Obviously, English is not everybody's first language, so there's some leeway, but there's some big mistakes that are made. Often they are just claims and statements and sort of flowery language, marketing speak. We often talk about that as judges, which with nothing to substantiate why you actually can say that about that pack. And then the judges get quite irritated. Another thing that happens, and we want to just flag for you, is when you're entering multiple entries from one company, be very careful not to copy and paste. We've often had the case where we have identical entry motivations. The write-up is the same. It's literally been copied and pasted that 300 words from, screen or entry screen to entry screen. And that again irritates the judges. Where we believe there's something interesting coming from that company, we might combine all those entries together into one entry, but you've lost the opportunity of why you were entering them separately. What was unique or special about each different entry? So be careful of copy and paste.
Right, so we've raced through quite a lot of information here. As we mentioned at the beginning, it will be recorded. A lot of this information, such as those 11 functions of packaging, we're going to make available on the website. And of course, this presentation will be available as the video presentation. We might even make it available as the PowerPoint in a PDF format. This is obviously also an invitation for those that maybe are still to confirm their participation as sponsors this year. And if your company is interested in sponsoring and getting your name up on this honors roll up front as a part of a supporter of Goldpack, we are anxious to hear from you. Remembering that our award ceremony this year is alongside ProPack Cape in Cape Town. It's in October, on October the 29th, very close to where the exhibition center is for ProPack. So really, I mean, if anybody is online and you have question burning that you would like to ask now, but from experience, I know that some people don't want to talk about their own entries or their own possibility entry publicly. This is an open invitation for you to contact either Vanessa or myself to enter into any help that we may give you, answer any of your queries, your concerns about your entry. We want good entries. Vanessa and I both are motivated that we're wanting the quality and the number of entries to be as many as possible, and the number of winners to be as many as possible. That's the mark of a successful Goldpack. So we encourage you to engage with us and to get us to work for you as much as possible to assist you in winning a Goldpack medal this year, again, for some of you.
Definitely, yeah. Perhaps if anyone does have a question, if you just use the raise hand, and I can unmute you so that you can, if you're unable to unmute yourselves. Yeah, see there we've got one that somebody did ask about the copy of the presentation. As we said, we'll make the presentation available, the video recording of the session, yeah, all available as tools, so you can go through the individual checklists and sections that you need. Just looking any...
Oh, I'm not seeing a hand up, but I think, as I said, from experience, people are much rather have some sort of confidentiality, and they don't want to expose their hand too soon by talking about what their issues are with their entry. But as I say, we are here to help, and we're anxious to. So please feel most welcome to contact us. Yeah.
And good luck and have fun. This whole process of putting an entry together should really be something that you enjoy. These are things in your business that you are excited to make a song and dance about. So enjoy the process, and we really look forward to receiving your entries this year. So look forward to that.
Good, great. Thanks all. Thanks for joining us, and look out for the recording online.